Have you ever felt someone try to break you, to dim your light, to make you doubt your worth? Maybe a narcissist crossed your path, full of charm and deception, plotting to hurt you, to shake the very foundation of who you are. But what if I told you their plan didn't work the way they imagined? What if the very person who tried to destroy you ended up exposing themselves while you rose stronger, wiser, and unstoppable? Today, we're diving into that journey, a story of pain, power, and the triumph that was always meant to be yours. The narcissist's intent was never subtle. They wanted to diminish you, disarm you, and make you question the very parts of yourself that once felt solid. Their goal was control, wrapped in charm, criticism, and confusion. But what they never understood is that human beings are not as fragile as their manipulations assume. While they plotted to weaken your spirit, something entirely different was happening behind the scenes. The universe, life, fate, whatever name you give it, was silently rearranging the pieces in your favor. Their cruelty became the catalyst for your awakening. Their rejection redirected you. Their betrayal sharpened your intuition. Their attempts to belittle forced you to see your worth in ways comfort never could. It's ironic how the very blows meant to break you became the pressure that forged you. You began to recognize patterns, to trust your instincts, to value your peace more than their approval. You started seeing yourself clearly, not through the distorted lens they tried to hold over your eyes. And in that clarity, something powerful happened. You outgrew them. Not by pride, not by revenge, but by evolution. The narcissist believed they were orchestrating your downfall, but in reality, they were exposing their own. Every attempt to hurt you was a confession of their internal chaos. And every time you rose from what they expected to ruin you, you unknowingly stepped into a higher version of yourself. Their intent may have been destruction, but the greater plan, the one they could never control, was transformation. And you became living proof that even the darkest intentions can be rerouted toward light, strength, and a destiny far beyond what they ever imagined for you. And as life redirected you through the chaos they created, something else began to unfold. Something you didn't ask for, but ultimately needed. Pain entered your life like an uninvited teacher, the kind that knocks loudly, rearranges your world, and refuses to leave until the lesson is learned. You didn't choose this classroom. You didn't sign up for heartbreak or confusion or nights spent questioning your worth. But there you were, face to face with an experience that demanded growth. At first, it didn't feel like growth at all. It felt like loss. The loss of trust, the loss of who you thought they were, and perhaps most painfully, the temporary loss of who you thought you were. But while you were trying to survive the emotional storm, something inside you was being rebuilt. The pain sharpened your awareness. It made you notice the subtle red flags you once brushed aside. It forced you to sit with yourself, to understand your needs, your boundaries, your vulnerabilities, and your strengths with a depth you didn't have before. This painful teacher showed you where you had abandoned yourself trying to love someone incapable of meeting you. It revealed old wounds you never addressed and new strengths you didn't know you had. And slowly, without you even realizing it, the person who was left standing was someone wiser, steadier, more self-aware. The narcissist thought they were breaking you down, but the truth is that life was breaking you open. Every tear became clarity, every disappointment became direction, and every moment you chose to heal, even when healing felt impossible, became the foundation for a version of you that is no longer shaped by their cruelty, but by your courage. This is where your real rebirth began, not because of them, but in spite of them. And as that unexpected teacher of pain reshaped you, another truth slowly came into focus, one that connected everything you had been through. Because while you were learning, healing, and rebuilding, something else was happening on the other side of the story. The narcissist who once seemed so confident, so certain, so untouchable, was being exposed by their own behavior. Not by you, not by confrontation, but by the simple, undeniable mirror effect of life. It's almost poetic how it works. As they critiqued you, they were actually revealing the insecurities they carried. Every accusation they hurled was a confession in disguise. Every manipulation was a glimpse into the chaos they hid behind their polished mask. You weren't seeing your flaws, you were witnessing theirs projected onto you. And back then, you believed them because you were honest, because you cared, because you assumed the person you loved wouldn't weaponize your heart. But once pain clarified your vision, the reflections became impossible to ignore. You started realizing that the too sensitive, too emotional, or not enough they claimed. you were had nothing to do with you. Those were the shadows of their own emptiness. The selfishness they accused you of was the selfishness they lived by. The instability they blamed you for was the instability they carried like quiet poison inside themselves, and while you grew through your pain, they stayed trapped in theirs, repeating the same patterns, sabotaging the same relationships, constructing the same fragile facade that cracks every time someone looks too closely. Without lifting a finger, you watched truth reveal what manipulation once concealed. And in that revelation, you understood something liberating. You were never the broken one. You were simply the mirror they couldn't stand to face, the mirror that reflected the truth they spent their entire life trying to run from. And once you saw that mirror for what it was, something even deeper became clear, something that finally freed you from taking any of it personally. Because the truth is, their attacks, their cruelty, their manipulation were never really about who you were. They were reactions to what your presence stirred inside them. Your light, your empathy, your honesty, your steady heart. All the things that make you human in the most beautiful way collided directly with the parts of themselves they've spent a lifetime trying to hide. Your ability to love made them feel their inability to do the same. Your strength highlighted their emotional fragility. Your integrity exposed the instability of their entire identity. Without even trying, you triggered the very darkness they were desperate to keep buried. It wasn't your flaws that disturbed them, it was your potential. It was the quiet confidence you carried before they tried to strip it away. It was your capacity to grow, to feel, to heal, to evolve. These were things they didn't possess, things they couldn't imitate no matter how many masks they wore. And so they did what wounded people do when confronted with a light they don't understand. They attacked it, they belittled it, they tried to dim it so they wouldn't have to face what it revealed about them. But your brightness wasn't a weakness, it was a mirror they couldn't control. And the more you shined, even unintentionally, the more their inner chaos demanded to be seen. Eventually, you realized something powerful. They weren't fighting you, they were fighting the version of themselves they never became. Their hostility was a testament to your power. Their reactions were proof of your significance. And the very thing they tried to destroy was the very thing that made you unstoppable. Your light, your heart, your truth. And as you began to understand that their attacks were never truly about you, something remarkable started to unfold within yourself. A quiet, resilient transformation that no one could have anticipated. What felt like destruction at the time, what seemed like an endless storm of betrayal and manipulation, was actually dismantling the parts of you that no longer served your highest self. Every criticism they hurled, every lie they spun, every attempt to control or diminish you became a chisel, sculpting a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. It's strange how life works this way. The very forces meant to break you became the forces that rebuilt you. You began to recognize the patterns of toxicity and to reclaim the parts of yourself that had been lost or ignored. Your boundaries, once invisible or porous, grew firm. Your voice, once timid or hesitant, became clear and unshakable. And even when the pain threatened to overwhelm you, it forced you to rely on yourself, to trust your instincts, and to discover a strength you never knew existed. This rebirth didn't happen overnight. It happened in quiet victories, walking away from situations that no longer served you, refusing to apologize for your feelings, choosing solitude over compromise, embracing the healing that felt uncomfortable but necessary. You realized that survival wasn't about shrinking to avoid conflict, it was about expanding to honor your worth. And in that expansion, you found freedom. Freedom from the narrative they had tried to write for you, freedom from their influence, and freedom to step fully into your own life. In essence, the narcissists believed they were orchestrating your destruction, but they could not destroy what was fundamentally yours, your spirit, your courage, and your capacity to rise. While they sought to break you, life used their attempts as the very blueprint for your self-reinvention, proving that resilience often grows strongest in the soil of betrayal. And as you rebuilt yourself from the rubble they tried to leave behind, the truth about their own trajectory became impossible to ignore. While you were healing, evolving, and claiming the peace they attempted to steal, the narcissist was ensnared by the very patterns that defined them. Their lies, their manipulations, their endless cycle of control and deceit became a weight they could never escape. Every strategy they used to dominate or unsettle you, every effort to keep you off balance, was simultaneously building the prison that would trap them. It's a remarkable irony. They believed they were the architects of your downfall, but the reality was that they were digging their own pit with every word and action. Their inability to confront their own flaws, their refusal to feel, their obsession with projection and blame ensured that they would repeat the same destructive cycles over and over. The people they tried to control saw through the mask. The relationships they sought to dominate withered under the strain of their deceit. And unlike you, they never paused to reflect, to heal, or to grow. Meanwhile, the strength they tried to undermine in you became unstoppable. With every attempt to manipulate, they revealed more of their instability. And the very behaviors they thought were secret weapons against you became the evidence of their own unraveling. In trying to crush your spirit, they exposed themselves, a person trapped by their own insecurities, perpetually at war with themselves and everyone around them. And here's the most liberating part. You didn't have to do anything to destroy them. Life took care of that. Their downfall was not your responsibility, and yet it was the most profound vindication. While they remained imprisoned by the patterns they could not see or change, you walked free, whole, and stronger than ever. Proof that integrity, healing, and self-awareness always outlast manipulation. And as their own actions unraveled them, something extraordinary became clear. Everything they tried to take from you, your peace, your confidence, your joy, you didn't just recover, you amplified. What they sought to destroy in you became the foundation upon which you built a stronger, more resilient self. Every boundary you set, every truth you spoke, every moment you chose your own well-being over their chaos became a testament to your growth. They wanted to see you diminished, but instead you were flourishing. The gifts they tried to steal, self-awareness, clarity, emotional strength, became your inheritance. You learned to recognize toxic patterns before they could touch you. You discovered the value of solitude over compromise, of honesty over pretense, of love that heals rather than harms. What they feared most, your ability to stand firmly in your truth, became your reality. You realized that their attacks were not markers of your inadequacy, but invitations to cultivate a life they could never touch. And in this reclamation, a beautiful paradox emerged. The more they sought to control you, the more control you gained over yourself. The more they tried to hurt you, the more invincible you became. You understood that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of clarity and self-respect. You understood that confidence is not the absence of doubt, but the courage to move forward despite it. While they were trapped in cycles of emptiness, you built a life full of depth and meaning. Every lesson you learned, every boundary you enforced, every act of self-love became proof that what they tried to break was never theirs to take. And in realizing this, you embraced a profound truth. Growth, resilience, and self-mastery are the victories that no one, not even a narcissist, can ever take from you. And as you claimed what they could never touch, your peace, your clarity, your strength, you began to understand the true power of walking away. Leaving was never weakness. It was courage in its purest form. It was the act of choosing yourself over their chaos, your sanity over their manipulation, your growth over their stagnation. In the past, you may have thought staying would give you control, or that leaving was surrender, but now you see that the real triumph lies in the decision to step out of their orbit and refuse to be defined by their toxicity. Walking away is not an escape, it is a declaration. It is a statement that you will no longer participate in a story that diminishes your worth. Every step you took away from them was a step toward reclaiming your life, your voice, and your power. It is in that movement that healing takes root, because you are no longer expending energy trying to change someone incapable of change. Instead, you are focused entirely on yourself, on building the life and the self that they could never disrupt. And as you move forward, something beautiful happened. You began to evolve. Your identity, once entangled with their drama, now expanded in freedom. Your confidence grew not from external validation, but from the knowledge that you could survive, thrive, and flourish on your own. Each boundary you enforced, each no you uttered, became a brick in the foundation of a life built on self-respect. In leaving, you discovered that the world outside their influence is not only safer, but richer, full of possibilities they could never imagine. And with every step forward, you realize that freedom is not the absence of the narcissist. It is the presence of yourself in your fullest, most authentic form. Walking away wasn't the end, it was the beginning of a life that they could never touch, a life that you now own completely. And as you walked away, claiming your freedom and embracing yourself fully, the pain you endured began to take on a new purpose. What once felt like a cruel, senseless burden started to reveal itself as a gift, a map for others who might one day face the same darkness. Every tear, every moment of doubt, every sleepless night became a story worth telling, a story that could illuminate the path for someone else still trapped in confusion or fear. Your experience transformed from personal suffering into universal wisdom. The trials you endured were no longer just scars, they became guideposts. You learned to recognize the subtle manipulations, the warning signs, the emotional traps that the narcissist set so carefully. And in that awareness, you gained the power to protect not only yourself, but to empower others who may have once felt powerless. Your journey became a living example that healing is possible, that resilience can be cultivated, and that survival can evolve into triumph. Pain, when embraced and understood, ceases to be merely suffering. It becomes a tool for transformation. Every lesson etched into your heart now serves a higher purpose. You see, the narrative you once feared, the story of betrayal, manipulation, and heartache, has been rewritten into one of strength, insight, and courage. And in sharing it, whether through words, actions, or simply the presence of your evolved self, you extend hope to those who need it most. In the end, the darkness the narcissist tried to impose upon you has been alchemized into light. Your pain has become your purpose, and your survival has become your power. What they tried to take from you is now a gift you can offer to the world, proving that resilience, insight, and courage can rise from even the harshest storms, and that every wound can serve a life far greater than the one they tried to steal. And as your pain transformed into purpose, the final truth became undeniable. Your growth, your strength, your resilience, these were victories they could never claim, achievements they could never tarnish. The narcissist wanted to hurt you, to diminish your light, to cage your potential. But in their attempts, they failed to see the most important outcome. They exposed themselves, their limitations, their emptiness, and in doing so, they became a mirror reflecting exactly who they were, while you became proof of who you were meant to be. Every attempt to hurt you became a lesson in self-mastery. Every manipulation became an opportunity to sharpen your boundaries. Every betrayal became a catalyst for transformation. And as they remained trapped in the cycle of their own making, repeating the same patterns, you were moving forward, evolving, growing, and living fully in a way they could never replicate. Their downfall became incidental. Your triumph became intentional. This is the ultimate irony. The person who sought to destroy you inadvertently highlighted your power, their hostility, their cruelty, their obsession with control. All of it pointed to the truth you already knew. You were stronger than they could ever imagine. You did not just survive, you thrived. You did not just heal, you became a version of yourself that could not be shaken by their toxicity. The story that was supposed to be one of their victory turned into a testament of your resilience, a living monument to your courage, your clarity, and your integrity. And in that victory, a profound freedom emerges. The freedom to live without their shadow, to walk your path unafraid, to embrace the fullness of who you are. They tried to hurt you, but in the process, they destroyed only themselves while you rose, unstoppable, radiant, and unshakably whole. You are the living proof that true power, true growth, and true freedom are born not from winning against others, but from conquering yourself. So here's the truth I want you to hold on to. The pain they caused, the lies they spun, and the chaos they tried to unleash were never your end. They were your awakening. You rose while they remained trapped. You healed while they stayed stagnant, and you grew while they unraveled. Every step you took away from them was a step toward freedom, strength, and purpose. Remember this. The narcissist wanted to hurt you, but they only revealed themselves while you became unstoppable. Your story isn't one of defeat. It's a triumph, and it's just beginning. If this video inspired you, hit subscribe and join our journey of growth, strength, and self-discovery. Don't miss a single moment. Your next step toward empowerment starts right here.